Once upon a time, in a quiet village by the sea, lived a humble fisherman named Emma. Emma was a kind man, always working hard to provide for his family. He lived in a small, old house with his wife, Lara. Their home was simple, built with wood and mud, but they were happy with what they had. Emma would go out every morning to the sea, rowing his small wooden boat in hopes of catching enough fish to feed them and perhaps sell a few at the market. He wasn't a rich man, but he believed in hard work and honesty. His wife, Lara, took care of their little house and cooked delicious meals from the fish Emma brought home. She loved her husband, but sometimes she wished they had more money, a bigger house, and nicer things. One morning, as the sun began to rise, Emma prepared for his daily fishing trip. The sea was calm, and he hoped for a good catch. He waved goodbye to Laura and set out in his boat. He rowed far into the ocean, further than he had ever gone before, to try his luck. Hours passed, but there was no sign of fish. Emma cast his net again and again, but it always came up empty. The sun climbed higher in the sky, and Emma began to feel tired. He thought of heading back to shore when suddenly, there was a strong tug on his net. His heart raced with excitement. Maybe this was the big catch he had been waiting for. Emma pulled with all his strength, but what he saw in the net was not what he expected. Instead of a regular fish, he had caught a bright, shimmering creature. It wasn't like anything he had seen before. The fish was covered in shining scales that glowed with all the colors of the rainbow. Emma stared in amazement. Just as he was about to touch the fish, something incredible happened. The fish spoke. "Please, kind fisherman, let me go," the fish said in a soft, clear voice. "I am not an ordinary fish. I am a magical fish, and if you set me free, I can grant you one wish in return." Emma was shocked. A talking fish. And a wish too. He couldn't believe his ears. He thought for a moment. Emma had always been content with his life. He had never asked for much. He was happy with his simple home and the love of his wife. So, after thinking it over, Emma said, "I don't need anything more than what I have. I am happy with my life. You are free to go." The magical fish looked at Emma, clearly surprised by his response. "You are a rare man, Emma," the fish said with a smile. "Most people would ask for riches, power, or a grand life, but you are content with what you have. For that, I will remember your kindness." With a graceful flip of its tail, the magical fish disappeared into the deep blue sea, leaving Emma to row back to shore with an empty net. When he got home, Lara was waiting for him as always. "Did you catch anything today?" Lara asked, noticing that his boat was empty. Emma shook his head and shared the story of the magical fish with her. "It was a beautiful creature," he said. "It spoke to me and offered to grant a wish if I let it go. But I don't need anything more than what we already have." Lara was stunned. "You turned down a wish?" she asked, her voice rising with disbelief. "Emma, we live in this tiny house. We barely have enough to eat some days. You could have asked for a bigger home or more fish to sell. How could you let such a chance go?" Emma looked at Laura and smiled gently. "We have enough, Lara. We have each other, and that's all we need." But Lara wasn't satisfied. As the days passed, she couldn't stop thinking about the wish Emma had refused. She thought of all the things they could have. They could live in a big house with fancy furniture and delicious meals every day. Why should they settle for so little when they could have so much? One evening, she finally spoke up again. "Emma, you must go back and find the magic fish," she said firmly. "Ask it for a bigger house. We deserve more than this small hut." Emma hesitated. He had been content with his life, but he didn't want to upset Laura. He could see how much she longed for a better life, so the next morning, Emma set out again. He rowed his boat to the same spot where he had caught the magic fish and called out, magic fish, come back to me. My wife has a wish to ask of you. The water rippled, and in no time, the magical fish appeared once more, its scales glistening in the sunlight. What is your wish, kind fisherman? The fish asked. Emma took a deep breath. My wife wishes for a bigger house, he said softly. She feels we need more space to live comfortably. The fish nodded. Your wish is granted. Go home, and you will find your new house waiting for you. Emma thanked the fish and quickly rowed back to shore. When he reached home, he couldn't believe his eyes. Their small, old hut had transformed into a beautiful, large house with shiny windows and a strong roof. Inside, there were comfortable chairs, soft beds, and a big kitchen filled with food. Lara was overjoyed. Oh, Emma! Look at this house. It's wonderful, she exclaimed, running around the rooms. Now we can live like kings. Emma smiled, happy to see Laura so excited. For a while, they lived in peace. Emma continued to fish, and Laura enjoyed her new home, arranging the furniture and cooking meals in the big kitchen. Life seemed perfect. But after some time, Laura began to feel that something was still missing. She had a bigger house now, but she wanted more. One day, she said to Emma, "We have a beautiful home, but what if we had even more? We should ask the magic fish for wealth, gold, jewels, and fancy clothes. Why stop here when we could have everything?" Emma frowned. "Lara, we already have more than enough. We should be grateful." But Lara wasn't satisfied. She urged Emma to return to the magic fish and ask for riches. Reluctantly, Emma agreed. The next morning, he rowed out to sea again. He called out, magic fish, come back to me. My wife has another wish to ask of you." The fish appeared, its glow a little dimmer than before. What is your wish this time? It asked. My wife wishes for more wealth, Emma replied. She wants gold, jewels, and fancy things. The fish sighed but nodded. Your wish is granted. Go home, and you will find your wealth waiting for you. Emma rowed back, feeling uneasy. When he reached the shore, he saw that their house had grown even larger, and inside it was filled with treasures, gold coins, jewels, and fine clothes. Lara was dressed in beautiful robes and sparkling jewelry. Oh, Emma, this is amazing, she exclaimed, twirling around in her new clothes. We are rich now. Emma smiled weakly, but deep down, he felt worried. They had everything they could ever want, but something didn't feel right. As the days went on, Lara's greed only grew. She was no longer content with just a big house and wealth. One evening, she said, Emma, I want to be a queen. Go back to the magic fish and ask it to make me the queen of this land. I deserve to rule. Emma was horrified. Lara, that's too much. We have been given so much already. Why can't you just be happy with what we have? But Lara wouldn't listen. She insisted, demanding that Emma go back to the magic fish and make her a queen. Worn out by her constant pleas, Emma finally agreed. The next morning, he rowed out to the sea once more, his heart heavy with worry. Magic fish, come back to me. My wife has yet another wish, he called out. The fish appeared, its once bright colors now dull. What is your wife's wish now, fisherman? It asked. Emma sighed deeply. My wife wishes to be the queen, he said, feeling ashamed. The fish looked at Emma sadly. Greed has consumed her, the fish said softly. But I will grant this final wish. With a heavy heart, the fish disappeared into the depths of the sea, and Emma rowed back to shore. When he arrived, the small village had transformed. Lara was now dressed in royal robes, sitting on a golden throne in a grand palace. Servants rushed to do her bidding, and the villagers bowed before her. At first, Lara was thrilled. She commanded everyone around her and enjoyed the power of being queen. But as time passed, her greed only grew. She became more demanding, cruel to the villagers, and harsh with her servants. The people of the village began to suffer under Laura's rule, and soon, they started to whisper about the once kind fisherman's wife who had turned into a greedy queen. One day, as Emma looked around the grand palace, he realized that they had lost something far more precious than riches or power. They had lost their happiness. Lara was never satisfied, and Emma missed the simple life they once had. Finally, Emma couldn't take it anymore. He went back to the sea one last time and called out to the magic fish. Magic fish, please come back," he cried. The fish appeared, its colors now faded and dull. "What is it, fisherman?" it asked wearily. Emma bowed his head. "I wish for everything to return to the way it was before. We had enough. I just want our simple life back." The fish looked at Emma kindly. "Your wish will be granted." With those words, the fish disappeared into the sea one final time. When Emma returned to the shore, everything had changed. The grand palace was gone, the gold and jewels had vanished, and Laura was no longer a queen. They were back in their small, humble home, just as they had been before. Laura looked around, her eyes filling with tears. She realized that her greed had cost them everything, even their happiness. "Oh, Emma," she said softly, "I'm sorry. I see now that we had everything we needed all along." Emma smiled gently and took her hand. "We still have each other, Lara. And that's all we need." From that day on, Laura and Emma lived a peaceful, content life. They never wanted for more than what they had, and they learned the true value of being happy with enough.